like to announce that the Kate Daly Show is marked safe from being called a Russian agent. Today, the show starts now.
Agree on anything anymore except for two things: pizza and us. And us.
Cruised down, went over to their house. They made us homemade pizza, and it was an amazing time. I sat next to Bono. It was a good day.
That is a good day.
It was. Her parties are incredible at her house, too.
Yeah, she does have good parties, and she makes good pizza as well.
She makes great pizza,
Wonderful pizza. All right. You really are a genuine fan, and it's amazing. And we've known each other for years. Yeah. You've been to my house. We've had pizza. Girl after my own heart. Do we love a pizza or what? We love a pizza. It's so much fun.
He's not just a great vice president. He is a great friend. We've gotten so close in some places in Indiana, they won't serve us pizza anymore.
The word pizza appears in the Epstein files 909 times.
Stephanie says, I'm back. Can call you in Stendra 100 at Zitmer. Now, Stendra is apparently an erectile dysfunction drug, and he's prescribing it to Jeffrey Epstein, who apparently needs it. And Epstein writes, how many? And the doctor writes back, 10. After you use them, let's go get pizza and grape soda. Call me.
All right. Well, that was an interesting open. So I just welcome to the Kate Daly Show, by the way. And we have a lot to talk about. I have Dr. Duke Pesta on. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. It was an interesting open. So I know everyone's going through the files and they're seeing lots of video and a lot of AI and then a lot of video of clips and different things. And I'm sure a lot of it's very real. I'm sure some of it's faked. You know, they've had a long time to come up with what's in those files and misdirect and everything else. But that pizza conversation and what is grape soda, who knows, is very interesting because it's discussed a lot in Hollywood and it's very weird. And I have to admit, I'm with all of you that think it's very strange and could point to a lot of abuse going on, a lot of things happening. But I would just use spiritual discernment when it comes to those Epstein files, because I think that there's going to be a lot in there that was created, and they need us to be talking and fighting and looking at these files, and nothing's going to happen from any of it, I don't think. But they want us preoccupied with it. Then last night we had the Super Bowl, and I want to talk to you about that Super Bowl halftime. But we have to the Bad Bunny. I mean, what a name! But we have to talk about kind of the goings on of why that Super Bowl show happened, because it had a huge theme to it. Did it not, Duke?
Yeah, I mean, no, this is one of those situations where we get a really good Kate Daly explanation, because when you're watching this,
what does that mean?
When I was watching, I had to admit, first of all, I could only watch it in small pieces. I had to keep coming back to make myself watch it. And I only watched the halftime highlights afterwards this morning because I didn't want
just
to
couldn't
watch
do
that
it.
garbage.
Yeah.
But I meant the Kate care comment, because when you look at this, you can't imagine any really serious reason why you would do this. None of this makes no sense. It's bad for the NFL. They know it.
Yeah.
It's bad for their look and their brand. There's already a lot of people who spent a lot of money, $16 million for 1 minute, and you had to commit to more than 1 minute ad. So there's already people arguing up to 25 million dropped out during the halftime, and so they're wondering now, if they should ask for some of their money back for that. And there's so many reasons that I mentioned your name because you are really good at what they are doing. Why would they do something that was so alienating to so many people? And you saw the pictures, Kate. They were the audience was kind of standing still. They couldn't understand it. Even the ones who could speak Spanish could not hear it through the other noise in the back feed. And then they had that kind of all that fake jungle grass
That was
if you were
weird.
sitting in the tent, you couldn't see it either.
The
And then you've
cornfields.
got guys grinding other guys sexually in this thing. And you know, you've probably seen these people who have translated the lyrics of his songs. They're just the stupidest thing you've ever heard.
Yeah.
I mean, why this guy, right? I mean, and again, 90 only, you know, what is 75, 80% of Americans couldn't understand a word, including, like I said, many people who speak Spanish. So what are they expecting to get out of that?
Interesting.
So
okay.
I turn to you to give us one of your deep dives. What do you think?
One of my deep dives. Okay. Well, kind of really looking at everything. So one thing that really stood out to me, because of where we're going with regions, was when Bad Bunny declared "God Bless America" before naming every country in all of the Americas, including the United States, but then of course including Canada and Mexico and Puerto Rico. Here it is. This is a clip that somebody recorded, so you're going to hear their voice over it, but here you go. Going through all of them. Okay. So, I mean, it was a long rant about including everything in America. This show was very much to me about the ICE, open border. Everybody, let's just have unity. Don't care who's in the country. This is all about love. And he kept saying, you know, love is stronger than hate. Of course, we all hate, you know, that's the reference. So there was a lot of that going on. And when I see somebody with their ode to Mexico and their ode to everyone else except the country they're actually in doing the show, I'm like, wow, it's always interesting. See, Gloria Estefan back in 1992 actually did a show, and it was very, very friendly to South America. Okay. When she did this show, what was kind of interesting about it was there was a bill that had just passed, and we had the movie Green Card. If you guys remember, this was back in the early 90s, and we had the Immigration Act of 1990. And it was a very flexible, numerical kind of allowance for a total of 700,000 people coming into the country that year. And then they also included provisions for family-sponsored employment-based preferences. And I thought that was kind of an interesting correlation. Okay. And then it seems like sometimes, you know, you've got these weird things. So like this year, we've got this Bad Bunny unity all about, it's like he's really declaring a region of America so that everyone accepts it, but very kind of weird. And then we also have all this ICE stuff going on. You had protesters there, right? And then also there's a bill on the table as well right now to do some things with immigration. So I kind of thought that was interesting. It kind of goes back to 1947 when they did the Gentleman's Agreement. That movie won for Best Picture, and it was a prejudice against Jewish immigrants. 1947, Israel's created in 1948. I think we have a lot of media that sort of spurs those, you know, those emotional heartstrings for acceptance. And so that's kind of a different part of this that I wanted to talk about, because they do so much with music and film. But this was very much everyone is American in the whole world, and you shouldn't have a problem with anyone here, and basically just allow it, because what they're really trying to do with ICE is, I think they're making it so much more forceful to then get people to go, well, we don't want that, so allow more, you know, let the floodgates open, because we just want love and unity. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I think that's what they're up to. So, you know, there's some thoughts.
I would have said that. This is a clear globalist intention. Somebody said to me, and it makes some sense, excuse me, that the NFL is desperate to go global. That they see that that expansion inside America is not going to be as big as international. And think about it. You have in Mexico to start with, you have a number of huge soccer facilities that aren't utilized for anything but soccer here and there. And so those could be, standing buildings already. And so there's that. I think that's part of it. And this is going back to Colin Kaepernick, right?
Right.
I mean, the Washington Post came out and interviewed him yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And they declared, the Washington Post, no wonder, by the way, they're all getting fired, that the most significant player in the Super Bowl yesterday was Colin Kaepernick.
Isn't that weird?
He hasn't played in 10 years.
Yeah.
Still, right?
Yeah. What's up with that? Interesting. Okay. Well, there's so what I got out of it was they're really pushing for some very communistic ideas in that show. People, I don't think, realized it. They were probably just liking the multicultural. We always go, it's multicultural, how wonderful. I have no problem with being multicultural, except because that's what America is, right? That's what we're made up of. But we still can allow vetting, and we can still, allow these things to happen. And it's actually, good for the country. But you're going to see some big pushes to annihilate. That's why Hollywood's so on board this train. When Bad Bunny won his Grammy, he of course he brought up ICE, in the acceptance speech, and denounced ICE, and they're all doing it. So I think that you have a lot of stars, a lot of people pushing this stuff, and it. I mean, I can go on and on about immigration and illegals and everything else, because I've got a lot of info on it. But we'll take a caller. We'll take a quick call. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yes, in the early 90s under Clinton, there was a huge movement in the world, mainly in the Western Hemisphere, to merge all the countries of the Western Hemisphere together. It was called the Free Trade Areas of America. Cuba was excluded, but that was probably for political reasons to get it through. And this almost came to fruition. One of the organizations that primarily headed the way to stop this was the John Birch Society. And I worked tirelessly. We did all sorts of things, including getting on local television, things like that, to expose it. So they failed to complete that. But then Bush came right back with the Security and Prosperity Partnership Treaty. And this was, they thought they bit off too much for the FTAA, so they were merging Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. together, and all three leaders got together in Waco and announced this, and we were able to stop that as well. So this is a big movement to this regionalization to create the Western Hemisphere version of the trilateral. With Europe and Asia, will merge us all together in under one world communist government.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate the call. Yes. I mean, how could you argue with that? Okay. Yeah, for sure. So appreciate the call. So I think there's a lot that the youth aren't realizing in how they're being moved into just let the doors open. We're so tired of seeing people die. That's going to be your big thing right now, and they're going to be pushing that heavy this year. But there's also a bill on the table. I'm trying to remember the name of it. There's a bill on the table this year too. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know. To me, it is. But that's kind of what I was seeing through the show. When you were watching the highlights, did anything else pop up?
Well, yeah, I think what Mark said is exactly right. I mean, that goes back to what we said. It's globalism, particularly starting in the Western Hemisphere. I think, but the interesting thing is, if you're going to do that, if that's what you're pushing, given that the NFL audience is more conservative, more white male, there's no doubt about it. So why would you try to create this sense of sentimentality for all of the Western Hemisphere, particularly the Latino countries, by having that kind of raunchy nonsense? I mean,
I don't know.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
When I think about Latin culture, I don't think about gay guys. When I think of that, it's machismo, right?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you kidding me? So you're gonna have a transgender Bad Bunny grinding on and men grinding on each other on a car. This somehow explain to me how this it will fly in actually seriously Catholic South and Central American countries. I just don't see what. I find what's
that's a
the
brilliant
end game?
point. That's a brilliant point because of the way that they're showcasing it on the national world stage, really. But let's take a caller. But I like your point, though. I mean, you're just like that's your representation of these countries. But if we're in total debauchery, which most of the entertainment business is, then I get it. But let's take a quick call. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Well, hi, Kate.
Hi there.
Dr. Duke.
Hi.
I took it a different way.
Okay.
I really felt like they were giving the middle finger to all of America to say, we're replacing you.
Yeah.
You've let your borders be wide open. And guess what? The white people are going away.
Yeah.
And we are going to be having every other color. And we don't care. And who did they have announce this? Of course, the satanic pedophile that has been shown to be doing satanic rituals.
Yep.
And if you had, the Spanish translation of his song, it was disgusting.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yes, they want open borders. They want us to be erased. You're right. They're absolutely. That's the end game. Yeah.
So I don't understand how that was going to broaden their audience when America is their biggest, longest running supporters, but 127 million people tuned into that and then got the slap in the face.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think he's just talking about the representation of Latin America, but yes, you're right. I think it was a big, middle finger to America. It truly was, because there wasn't a sense of America. They kept saying that word, but that had nothing to do with what they were showcasing. Right? Had everything to do with kind of telling us, screw you.
Well, and the announcer went right along with that, right? Every single time that you turned around, it was how horrible American culture is.
Yes. I'm with you on that. Thank you. I love the phone call. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely right. It's when you go back to like the 1700s, our country was created in 1790. A law was passed that was the first to specify who could become a citizen. And it was basically if you lived in the U.S. for 2 years and demonstrated good moral character. Now, we're not going to see much of that these days, but that was sort of the criteria when the country was founded. And then you go 100 years later, late 1800s, and they had a ban. There were some restrictions on immigration, but there was a ban, and it banned people that had contagious diseases, polygamists, anarchists, beggars, and importers of prostitutes. It was kind of interesting, and a lot of Asians, but it's been interesting through the years because the Democrats have passed almost as many things as the Republicans have. So it's very, very bipartisan, whether we want to believe that or not. Like, I think a lot of people don't want to understand that, but both parties have pushed it. And just like we got Homeland Security and we got Patriot Act, Republicans, that's our side. So there's just so many of these things that are very bipartisan in Washington, but we get the representation out here that they're Republican and Democrat. So, and it's all the same party in Washington. Let's take a quick call. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead. You're on with Dr. Duke Pesta.
Hi, Dr. Duke and Kate. I called in or tuned in a few minutes late. I don't know if this was brought up, but the halftime presentation, I came up to my TV and I watched about 2 minutes of it. And, and I have closed captioning on my television set. Okay. And it usually broadcasts it in English.
Yeah.
The closed caption broadcast on my television was in Spanish. And my friend told me you could change it. I said, it doesn't make any difference. What they want to do, they want to deny the entire American culture.
Yeah. While using its platform on national TV, right?
Yeah. So I turned it off, and that was it. I saw 2 minutes of it, and it was disgusting. But they can't get to the bottom fast enough. So
yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Love the call. Thanks. I think people were very frustrated. I know my own husband was like, corn stalks? Okay. Like, what the hell are we watching? You know, it was very weird. It was very weird. So, Duke, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I think all the calls, all three of them, make the same point that it's all true. It's not one or the other. I think this is a big middle finger to America. It is serving conservative America with she said the middle finger, and then the replacement, right? That you guys are going away. That we're going to you white people, which is primarily who showed up. You are going to pay all this money and spend all that money to travel here. You're going to buy all kinds of jerseys. You're going to come out for the game. And we're going to give you something that is culturally completely alien to what you expect, what you hope to see. So much so. I mean, to me, that image of all of those people standing there, like with WTF, you could almost see them thinking it, right? And just staring at it. This is taking the arena, one of the most, whether you like it or not, one of the most iconic American venues, the Super Bowl, taking one of the most iconic Americana, and then right in the middle of it, underdoing it, right? Just completely pulling it down. They took the Super Bowl, this great Coliseum full of people, and they created, you mentioned about the jungle, right? The reeds. They took the first world country, and right there on the field, they recreated it as a first world country, right? And that became the focus. And so, that's what they're telling you. They're telling you that America, America last. Quite literally, it was the last one named, right? And it was only mentioned at all at the end, to make a point, right? That America is all those other countries, not this one. And so the young woman who said replacement, that was there too as well. But then but I would say there's something else going on. That's a political endgame. There's something deeply satanic about this as well. In order to make this work, and I don't know, I think I go back to what I said before the caller started ringing in. This, not only did they, Bad Bunny and the whole crew there, not only did they stereotype themselves, but that's what think about what they did there. It was Bad Bunny and that whole woke progressive element who put that show on, who turned Latinos into goofy old men playing dominoes, right? Women at the nail salon. I mean, it was so retrograde that I'd like to think that Latinos who were watching it would have been disgusted of the way their cultures were. These were banned. It was kind of a banana republic you were seeing on the field. That's what they did to their own people. So there's something bigger than it too. And the thing that to me overrides even the radical open borders crowd was a certain kind of satanic element that I brought it up earlier, right? That most of these countries are Catholic, Christian, right? And so when you have the overriding even of the politics of open borders, you have this cultural replacement that also includes Latinos, right? We're going to take away your religion from you. We're going to take away the difference between man and woman. So I think this is, when we say replacement, it wasn't just displacing the United States. It is transforming the Western hemisphere into something very, very different. And so don't forget too that they also invited on Friday to sing, or Friday or Saturday, Green Day, which is an anarchist. The lead singer is a radical homosexual. It is anti-Trump America, all West. So you're seeing. Then you had the black anthem sung
That was weird.
Yeah, you had the BLM. I mentioned already the harking back to Colin Kaepernick and dragging him out of the mothballs right? There's a lot of this. Yeah. It's almost even too simplified to say that all of this was an attack on Trump. Of course it was, and MAGA. All of that is obvious, but it was also the word I would use from my perspective, and I think objectively, it was just cringy.
Yeah, it was cringy. So cringy that it was difficult to watch, and I was cooking anyway and was kind of glad to be in the kitchen. And of course, people were mentioning the fake cheering crowd tracks that they were playing.
Yep, that's right.
And because people probably were like, what the hell? What the hell's going on? It was just a very weird show. They get weirder and weirder. And then, of course, demonic little Lady Gaga's in the mix. And you've got all, and it's Die with a Smile. That's the song she sings. And there was just so many little references to.
And don't forget that Jay-Z don't forget that it's Jay-Z and his wife Beyonce, who have this contract, I think, for another 7 years to put on the halftime shows.
Yeah.
And I'm completely convinced that certain aspects of Beyonce's career and the relationship between her and Jay-Z is something demonic. There's something going on there. There's something she's
got the witch vibes going on.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of that stuff going on. So it wasn't just Bad Bunny or Green Day. It was Lady Gaga, who's an occultist, right? And then you've got Jay-Z and Beyonce. I mean, the whole thing is
they're trying to normalize it. They're trying to normalize satanic ritual and make it so appealing and call it art. And that just drives my husband and I insane. And and continuously call it art when you can tell it's right in front of our faces how satanic they are. Look at the Grammy Awards. I mean, it's so satanic, but we have to normalize it. Kind of like we have to normalize autism with Autistic Barbie now. Like everything that's weird and should be questioned and should be looked at. And so why is this gets so normalized in our society? So this one was weird because they've only had a couple of shows like this. And even when Gloria Estefan did her show, so I got the hiccups back in 1992, it was nothing like this. It was just, here's some music, Latino music, but it had no message. It just really didn't have that messaging. But still, even then, people were like, well, why are we doing that? That's weird. I mean, this is America. It's kind of like you go to Germany and you see a show with Saudi Arabians. It's just like, well, why are we seeing the show in Germany? It doesn't make any sense to most people because they're like, well, isn't this supposed to be about our country? And this is supposed to be entertainment for the people sitting there that just like sports. So what in the world is happening here? So they've turned it into this very messagey, satanic, over and over again, year after year. I remember Lady Gaga's too. Same kind of thing. It's just always pushing the satanic narrative over and over and over in our faces. Not a narrative. I shouldn't say narrative, but reality. Reality. That's what's so gross. And I just wanted to say too about people coming into the country. I don't know if people realize this, but back in 1976, okay, a lot of us remember 76. We only had about 1 million people coming into the country illegally, okay? And that's really what a lot of this is about, is people just kind of flooding over the border. Well, if you go back to 1976, we had about 1 million. They're estimating over about 18.5 million now. Through some of the reporting. So for 2025. And so every year it gets more and more and more and more people flooding over the border unvetted. And each party is not doing anything about it. We're only increasing the numbers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in Congress and who's in the Senate. It just keeps growing. And so that's a lot of compounding of the numbers since just 1976. That wasn't that long ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're really increasing it, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it. Doesn't matter
You're
what
not
tribe.
saying that 18 million came in last year.
They're saying 18 million. They pretty much know 18. Now we know it's more, but 18, I would imagine it's way more than that. But that's what they're saying as far as their estimate is.
I think you slipped. You said in 2025. You didn't mean that.
Yeah, in 2025. They're saying
2025.
Yeah,
really?
18 million. 18.5 million. Mm-hmm.
Wow. No, I had not heard that.
Yeah. And 2023, it was 14 million. So we're only increasing the numbers no matter what we're doing.
So all this talk about Trump having the border sealed is a lie.
Pretty much. Like we're not, I don't know if we're not obviously sealing the border, but we are. Is there?
It just seems odd to me. And they're saying that under Biden for 4 years, anywhere from 12 to 20 million, right? It's probably more than that. But how did they get 18 million
12 to 14
without people not noticing it this last year?
Yeah, that's the golden question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then of course, so I mean, you've got a lot more coming into that are getting their citizenship other ways. Just ask the Somalis. So you've got a lot of people coming into the country. We're not really doing anything about it. So I don't know that, when people go, we're doing so much, we're restricting. Well, we're not really restricting if you look at the numbers. The numbers just keep going up. So I don't know how much restricting is going on, but I'm hopeful for that because I think most people that just want open borders do not realize how important it is to vet and to understand why we vetted in the first place and why that was set up. And it was set up to make sure that people could adopt the ideals of America. That was the biggest thing. And good character. You had to have good character. So still to this day, to be a UK citizen, you have to demonstrate good character. Okay. So there's always those rules, but we have that many people coming into the country. We have about 800,000 that come in that get documented to come in, right? Full citizenship per year. And then on top of that, if you go down to the next country allowing people in, it's Germany, and it's like 1 million people. So 1 million people over there that are trying to gain citizenship. So the numbers are far bigger in the United States. So I guess it doesn't shock me that we are having that kind of Super Bowl extravaganza in unity. Because what I kept hearing about it was, see, we're all unity. It's all about unity. Well, it's all about reforming us into something else. It's not about and just be quiet, shut up, and agree. That's really what it is. It's not about unity. It's about moving us into a different direction. So, and a region, because he very much announced that it's not just America. He's sitting in America doing the show, but it's very much about every other country. So it's not really about America. And America is, like you said, lowest on the totem pole. So.
Well, the question is, will Americans turn it off? I mean, we've been told that 25 million, probably even more, closer to 40 when you consider all the difference. They're still tallying what happened up on like X, for instance.
Right.
That's a big number. I mean, it technically, if they get to 40 million, that's like 1/3 that tuned out. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I tell you, but we should have a conversation about this too. Yeah. I grew up watching football. That was my whole life. When you're a little kid, especially if you're a little boy.
Right.
I'm at the point where I can't watch it anymore. It is so tedious.
I know.
And when you watch a regular season game, it's all the timeouts and the commercial ads and all that stuff.
Yes.
And then when at the Super Bowl, it's just unwatchable.
Well,
I'm not surprised that the offenses, both teams' offense was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, because how can you get any kind of a rhythm when after almost every play, there's a stoppage, there's a commercial, and the commercials went on and on, and they with one exception, they weren't even interesting commercials. I mean,
I was going to comment on that. Isn't it interesting that now that we have Reels and all of this AI and all of these things that people are hooked on, right, with a short attention span, that the commercials don't matter anymore. Like we used to watch it for the commercials because it was really fun and inventive. And now it's either message pushing, or it just isn't that great because, hey, you got a whole phone to look at while you're watching the Super Bowl full of reels that are probably more exciting than the ads they put out. So it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing culturally. I mean, I think I would love to have a survey of the people who attended the game, what they thought about it, what they thought, not the two teams playing, but the effect, the affect of the whole thing.
Right.
Because I mean, it was unwatchable. The game itself was just
boring.
Above the rest of it. Just boring.
Boring.
And,
yeah.
But, you know, and you get to the point with this, and with some of these games, certainly in previous games, the most exciting play is the pass interference for 60 yards. I mean, it's just that whole product, man. I just can't deal with it much anymore.
Yes.
And now we're paying college kids $600 or $7 million to play college football. That's another. I mean, for a while I retreated to college football. It seemed like it was a little bit more natural. But now with all the money on that, it's just pretty staggering. So, and you know, the NBA has been unwatchable for 12 years now.
Yeah.
No one really watches much baseball anymore. So I don't know. The whole thing is
been taken over. The whole thing's been taken over to appease the people running the shows, just like you mentioned, like the Beyoncés and.
Well, you and I have talked many times how that big day sports today is the Roman Colosseum of the past, right? When the Romans would bread and circuses, make everybody compliant and make them manipulatable.
Yes.
And that's been true in America too for a long time. But for the first time, it is obvious that what they were doing is they were manipulating world opinion, not just local, not just America, not just Latin America, but this was a global attempt to manipulate that famous statement, right? Bread and circuses.
Yeah. So I should, because when I asked the question, how many illegals in the United States in 2025, it was estimated between almost 15 million and over 18.5 million. So that's the number. And I didn't want to make it sound like every year, but that's the number to date right now. Whereas in 1976, we had about 1 million. So the number has been steadily increasing ever since. And the 18.6 number is actually probably more accurate of the people in this country. So that should not be here. So, you know, any other country, when you go to any other country, and we have the lightest rules to come in, everyone else is a lot stricter than us, including Germany. Germany's next on the totem pole. So Germany is, they're at about 1 million. It's really weird if you start really looking at the numbers and you start realizing that both parties have been an instrument of this. No one's doing anything about it. So it doesn't seem like it. So I wish, because I think a really good vetting would actually really help people coming into this country to maybe exchange their socialistic views for being a patriot of this country. But we're not going to get that.
Here's another question we got to ask. I mean, it's obvious that Roger Goodell, ever since he took over, has been a social justice warrior more than he's been a commissioner.
Yeah.
But there are a number of team owners, significant number of them, who are not liberals.
Yeah.
That seem somewhat conservative. I know that there are some very, very woke owners of teams, but there aren't. So why is the rest of the league going with this when many of the people who own aren't that way? How do you make sense of that?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that right now we're inundated with a couple of things to talk about. And number one is going to be ICE. And by the way, it was a creation of the Department of Homeland Security in 2002. A lot slipped in 2001 and 2, Patriot Act included. But that is going to be one of the conversations. The other one's going to be regions. The other one's going to be AI. And then, of course, the Epstein files. And I wanted to ask you, have you been watching the whole Epstein file thing?
Well, that's theater now, too. In exactly the same way of what we saw in the Super Bowl. That is theater. It's the theater of absurd. So it's amazing that the way that the Clintons are handling this, right? They're trying to now they're turn it into a way for them have an opportunity to control the narrative. It doesn't seem like Congress is going to go along with that. But now every little dribble, every little anytime a name is mentioned, then it becomes a huge story, especially if it's somebody on the right. But with the ones on the left too, you said it earlier, nothing's going to happen to any of these people. Nothing. And we had to get really all excited today because Maxwell was going to go to Congress. You should have known the minute she was invited, she was never going to do anything but take the fifth.
Yes,
what was the purpose of that?
I don't know. It's Matt Ghislaine knows where the bodies are buried. She has too much info. They're not going to do one thing to her. Just like I don't even think Epstein's dead. I think that was all a cover. The whole weird story about the camera failing and the whole 9 yards. I mean, and at the end of the day, even if you had an hour conversation about whether he was still alive, it doesn't matter because nothing's ever going to happen. So this is just like Benghazi. It's just like every single thing we've been through on the radio together over the last decade, right? Over the last decade, all these things have been talked about. We've had hearings about all kinds of things. It's never going to, none of these people nothing's ever going to happen to these people. So the focus, they want us focused on it, but I do wonder how many files were made up, how many files they inserted for misdirection. And that's why I'm saying you got to be really, really, really have a lot of discernment right now, because there's just so many ways in which they do so much fakery that I'm skeptical on a lot of it, but they want us only talking about the Epstein files. Isn't that crazy? And then of course that interview that came out, it just happens they waited this long to to bring out this interview of him so people would analyze that. And I mean, why the waiting? Nothing about anything makes sense. This is the craziest world that we live in. So I think there's far more fakery than we think going on, but that's just me.
Then we could also talk about the Olympics, and which is interesting to me about that.
What Olympics?
Yeah,
does anyone even care?
But it's interesting that with all the troubles in all the world, all the third world country teams that are there, all the Islamic countries that are misogynist and anti-gay, the only questions are only asked to the Americans. Tell us why you hate your country. Nowhere, there's no country in the rest of the world that is even suggesting that there are problems with their countries. And yet America, that's the one that everybody's asking about. And that's the only group of idiots who are spouting this anti-Americanism. Cowardless.
I know. It just never ceases to amaze me, but they're going to keep serving up this crap. And did anyone catch the other show? Did anyone catch the Turning Point show? I'm wondering if anyone watched that. Of course, you can text 435-680-2503. We're live. But I would like to hear. I did tune in for a minute just to kind of see, and it just didn't seem like they had, besides Kid Rock, they were were they well-known people? I just didn't even.
There were some very respectable country singers there. Yeah.
Okay.
And, and whatever you think about the organization, they played it right. They saw what you usually get in country music. You get a lot of flag,
right?
You get a lot of patriotism. You get a lot of Jesus.
Yeah, and
there was a good bunch of that as well. So.
Well, I'm all about Jesus. It's amazing to me, the satanic rituals that are in front of our face all the time. It's amazing to me that that we have withstood the amount that we get doled out in this country, and that people still are spiritual and believe and understand. So I'm grateful for that. If we want to count our blessings, it's, man, not only can our bodies obviously take a lot of toxins in, but our spiritual awareness, and I'm hoping a lot more people figure out that it's get that in order, and the rest of your life seems to go okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what my comment about satanic imagery at the Super Bowl. I think that's right. And I think when that happens, the more obvious satanic behavior, it feels comfortable to be in the public eye, then you'll see the rise in actual real faith go up as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now, that the gray period of globalism, that they went from being something we fought to something we tolerate. The gray period is over. Now it's the black and white fight, right? Now it's becoming much, much more evident.
The Black Anthem. I mean, let's all be unified and call ourselves Americans, except when we want to have our own anthem and literally separate us right from each other. I can't imagine anything more not unifying than that, more ununifying than that. It's pretty amazing that people don't call that out more and say, I'm sorry, are we supposed to be unifying because it doesn't match, right? This piece doesn't match in the puzzle. So, and it's stupid. It's the most irritating thing I've ever watched, is to sit there and go, can we all just have a national anthem, please? I mean, our country solved slavery in about 60 years, which is unheard of because we did it for the world, actually, when other constitutions started adopting what we had as well. And all they can serve up is Harriet Tubman. And she was on the last part of the 60 years and only got about 50 of her family members out. And it was the white Quakers that did it. And then what they do is they push this narrative that we're the most racist country. It's truly amazing to me when I watch this.
You hit on something big. I was thinking this at the beginning of the show when you talked about we've always been a multicultural culture. I get that. This is the most diverse country in the history of the world. How is it possible that the left gets away for screaming that diversity and multiculturalism is who we are, and then turn around and say, and yet we hate people more than anybody else?
Yes.
How do you square that circle?
Doing it in America.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the slap in the face that I think people just can't. That's probably why they're sitting there dumbfounded. You're like, well, you're in America and you're hating on us. Like, what, you're hating on your own platform, basically. So yeah. And then they have that stupid Black anthem and then the white anthem, I guess. Is that how they look at it? I look at the anthem as covering all Americans' rear ends. I mean, it's pretty much covering us all.
Give it 5 years, there's going to be a gay anthem too to watch.
Oh no.
Although I guess that was the halftime special, right?
Well, maybe if you got guys grinding. I mean, what? I just to watch our entertainment and our movies is so frustrating and so bizarre.
Here's another thing about this is where I go down the road of satanic here. The Super Bowl is one of those things that children do and should be able to watch. They've even bumped it up, right? Remember when it started at 8:00 at night? Now they've bumped it up.
Yeah.
And now, so more kids can watch it. And that audience was full of kids. And so what are they watching? I mean, how could you possibly? This was an attack on the family. It was an attack on parental rights. Who has the right to decide what kids see and don't? I mean, how many families that even tuned in to watch it thought that the purpose of this was not just, you could always turn off the halftime, but all through you had these moments and these images that are just not appropriate.
I know. And the constant division with the word unity. The mixed messaging that happens in our country is so insane to me. And why wasn't there just a call out, even instead of doing alternative programming where everyone had to change the channel? Why didn't they just say, turn it off, just turn off the thing and get that going, get that message going? I wonder why we didn't do that.
it's like everything else. It was the same thing when you and I were talking about Common Core, when they were bringing communist garbage into the schools. And we said, just pull your kids out. Didn't do it, right? It seems to me that the American people get angry, but not angry enough to actually make changes. They want to have their cake and keep it too. They want to be able to be unhappy, but they're not gonna stop using Google. They're not going to stop sending their kids to public schools. They're not going to stop going to these big sporting events where would dry up immediately if all of the Americans who are sick and tired of this kind of messaging stop participating. They would have to change, but there's not enough. Apparently, there's not enough people willing to do it.
I guess not. And that's our problem, apathy. So, we're not going to change it until that finally changes. But you know what? Too many people are going to have to be hit in their pocketbook before that happens, because that's really the only instigator of anything, is hit the pocketbook, and then they finally get interested. So I don't imagine that's that's going to happen.
I would say, Kate, that the last thing they're going to do is pull the money, right? You were talking last week correctly about going to digital currency.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the point that stuff that happens, it'll be too late to change, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If you're waiting to start messing with your IRAs and your money and your retirement, and if you're waiting for that to get angry, it's going to be way too late. At that time.
I'm with you on that one. Oh, I'm so with you. And I know people are just trying to survive right now, and I get it. It's really tough right now for everybody. So I understand. I do. And the programming will continue. We'll get a huge dose of it at the Oscars, and all of them will be talking about ICE. And it's so interesting to me because no one wants to do a deep dive on ICE and find out why in the world the Department of Homeland Security was created with taking INS and making it into 3 different departments, and then creating ICE specifically for what ICE does. But the conversation has to be about stretching the boundaries of ICE. That's really what it should be about, because that's really what's going on in the country. And the thing is I know we get wrapped up in Republican versus Democrat ways of looking at ICE, but truly we have to watch the reality in the middle that is very much what is being created. And nobody cared when we created the Department of Homeland Security. I didn't see a whole lot of people reacting to that, and we should have. Or when we passed the Patriot Act, and we should have. And when we passed bill after bill after bill, 1965 and 1990, some really big let's open the floodgates bills for immigration, instead of just sticking to what we should have stuck to, and that is the vetting process. You vet everybody, and anyone that's not vetted, you throw out. That's basically what should have happened. But they skirted around it, and they came up with both parties, all these different ways. Oh, well, if you work, and if you have a spouse, and if you have a kid, and now it's basically this new bill is going to be based on the children, and it's every single way to skirt it, right? So nobody reacts to anything that leads up to all of this. They only react to the emotional moment that the media portrays, instead of what have we been doing in this country to make it so, to even get to a point where we have a halftime show that no one can understand. What in the world are we doing? This is weird. And that bashes on us using our stage. I mean, it's just, it's incredulous. I'm sitting here just going, you got to be kidding me. But we're just not awake enough during all the other stuff to realize that both parties are passing all this stuff. Both parties are getting us to this point. And then we're not doing anything about it. We're not really asking for a lot. We just kind of roll with it. It's very weird. I don't think the founders ever expected us to just roll with everything. Did you?
No,
I don't think so.
Not at all. No.
Yeah.
I think they would not recognize this country.
Yes.
I mean, even though the money, the civilization, the architect, still they would be like, what happened here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although they knew, right?
Right.
That when people figure out that you can take other people's money, that was going to be the end of it. And it is a absolute truth that the typical republic lasts about 200 years. We're going on we're 50 years beyond our cell date. So I'm not surprised that it's rolling down the hill quicker.
Amazing. And by the way, Green Day, now that's a band we all know, right? So they showed a lot of our age in the you know, right there close, like Steve Young and all those guys in the audience. But Green Day's basically said F-U-C-K America. It was cut out by NBC.
Yep.
When they sang as well. So there's just so many little things like that going on that that are just for kids to hear that. We didn't hear that growing up. We heard love for America, love for its ideals. Don't like what's happening, but love for its ideals. And now we're hearing hate the ideals, hate what America was founded on, and hate it. And I just think that's just sad. It's just sad and evil is really what it's all about. So, by the way, the $180 veal shank burger at the Super Bowl, $180 for a burger. Are they priming the pump for more high prices? I don't know. Anyway, that sure got a lot of press too. So, you walk away with this. Wow, are we supposed to hate our country? And here's the deal: leftists are taught to hate the whole thing. On the right, I would hope that we would understand that it's love what your country was founded on, hate what its own government does to it, because it's the government that's doing it. And then, of course, we have all the brainwashing programs that affect the people watching it all. So we have a lot going on, but you don't hate the whole thing. That's where the leftists go off. You know, we've had so many conversations, you and I, about Columbus Day and about how people are so stupid when it comes to the facts of Columbus and all these different President's Days coming up, right? So there's people are just, well, they're just retarded when it comes to understanding any history and any context. And so they believe whatever the media puts out. And again, it gets them to hate their own country. I can't even imagine.
Well, I guess my the hour is up, but
yes.
My final point is going to be that the scary part of all of this is that it is no longer hidden. They're not pretending anymore.
Nope.
What's going on in Minneapolis and places like Los Angeles is literally people are waging war on their government, right? That's what this is. And so, and all across these different platforms we've talked about today, it is open season now.
Yeah.
They've got more than a foothold. They've got more than the camel's face under the tent. They're in now. They're in places in academia, the public school, entertainment, Hollywood, Silicon Valley. They're here. They own the NFL, the NBA. I mean, these things, right? More than half the churches have been undertaken, right?
Yeah.
They've fallen to the woke ideology.
Sadly. Well, I sure appreciate you, Dr. Pesta. I really appreciate all of you for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow, and same time, same bat channel, same station, and of course, always happy to do this on Mondays with Dr. Duke Pesta. You can catch his show, the Dr. Duke Pesta Show. All you have to do is Google it. It's so simple. But I really appreciate you always being willing to come on and talking about what's the latest, because we've got the Oscars coming, President's Day, which people are just. They just don't have any understanding. It drives me crazy. It's like the slavery thing I was mentioning. Oh my gosh, we should be celebrated for getting rid of world slavery and starting that ball rolling with every kind of people you can imagine, but we don't. We get labeled the racist country, and that will come up on President's Day for sure. And so all these people that kneel and all these people that do all these weird things, I just have no words. I think most Americans are like, what are you doing? So I really appreciate you. Thank you. And of course, be faithful, be fearless, and I'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, live. And appreciate you. Thank you, Dr. Duke.